Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what a wonderful crowd. Amazing. Thank you very, very much. A special welcome on behalf of the New Plymouth District Ratepayers Alliance. We are hosting this event tonight in conjunction with the Taxpayers Union. As you're aware of that, we come under their umbrella. Just a brief, we have actually had such wonderful support that we're enabled to bring to you, the ratepayers, to explain the structures of council and so that you can understand the many challenges that are being faced in halting rate increases. I'd like to thank Darren and Anna from the Plymouth here for their assistance in providing this venue for us. Without their support, we couldn't have brought this to you the way we have. As we have a lot of new faces in here tonight, I would like to introduce to you our Ratepayers Alliance team. We have Alex, our treasurer, down the front here. Sheridan George, our communications manager. My personal assistant and wife, Linda Brady. Colleen Jones, who's a super whiz on getting our pamphlets out everywhere. And Wendy delivering drinks down here is a real whiz on all our communications and printing and all that sort of stuff. And we have Nigel Weir. Where are you, Nigel? Nigel Weir, from optometry fame in New Plymouth. He's with us as well. And we have a number of unnamed people in our audience who are accountants, lawyers, valuers, all assisting us in trying to bring to you the problems that we see facing you as ratepayers. And it's a great platform. I'm really thrilled that so many have turned up here tonight. I guess now we're getting down to the important part of the evening, and to thank our mayoral candidates for joining us tonight. It's wonderful that you've come out to join us. We have an independent platform so that you can tell the ratepayers of New Plymouth where you'd like to see the city go. Using the rostrum, microphone's not a problem. If you're using the handheld on Quickfire questions, then please speak into it because everything's going on the video. I'd now briefly like to hand over to Sheridan, who's going to explain the why there's only 5 on the stage.
Hello, everyone. We just wanted to cover off the RSVPs before we get started tonight. After the first mayoral candidates event, we had a bit of a controversy on the front page of the paper the next day. So since then, we've explained the RSVPs we have received before each event, so there is no confusion. For tonight's event, in alphabetical order, this is a response we have had from those that are not here. Sam Bennett originally said yes, he would come, but has since declined the offer to attend. Sam advised he would not be at the second Mayor's event, as with so many other events to attend, the Alliance events have not made his campaign cut. Peter Mara had said that he would be attending. We've kicked off at 7 o'clock. If he arrives, then we'll put another chair on the stage, but he's not here. Also, Bill Simpson had said that he would be here tonight, but he hasn't arrived yet either. John Woodward declined an offer to put his profile on our website, and at that time he advised he did not support our group. No reply was received from John to the mayoral events invitations. So we have 5 candidates running for mayor that are here tonight. I'll now hand over to Alex, who's going to explain the timing for tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've got the several timing lapses. The first one is 3 minutes. When you've got 30 seconds to go, you'll get 1 ring. When you're done, you'll get 2. And that will apply whether it's a 1.5 minute, 2 minute, or 3 minute session. At 30 seconds, you'll get 1 ding, and when you're done, you get 2. All right?
That was the town crier. He does a great job, but I'll tell you what, he writes everyone down too, so that no one can come back on him and said, you got 30 seconds more than me. He does a very good job. I guess it's my pleasure tonight to introduce James Ross from the Taxpayers Union. He's been involved in that for 3 years. I'm going to ask him to come up in a minute. And Rhys Hurley, he's here too from the Taxpayers Union. They both live in Wellington, of course, where everything happens. And he's here somewhere. Rhys, where are you? Over here. So anybody want to chat to them at any time, or if you want to chat to any of our team, we're going to have a 5-minute break at one stage. So I'd like to ask you to give a warm welcome, please, to James Ross.
Righto. Well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name's James Ross, obviously Rhys Hurley here, joining you from the New Zealand Taxpayers Union. We'll be doing our best to keep this debate on track. This is the 5th leg of our whistle-stop local government debate tour around the country. Great to be back in this beautiful part of the country, of course, but especially so because, frankly, the attendance here is unbelievable. It's fantastic. I'm blown away. Democracy only works because people like you turn up. You keep your candidates honest, you keep them engaged. So genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for turning up tonight. Now, you'll hear this around every election that's ever happened any time in your life. But I promise you I mean it when I say this, that this is the most important local government election in a generation. You know, local government is front and centre of the national political conversation because rates are the single biggest driver of the cost of living crisis. We're seeing conversations we couldn't have dreamed of a year ago, talking about, rates caps, about costly vanity projects, and about how to get councils back focused on a core basis, back to basics, doing those basics well. What we know, whatever happens, councils are going to look very, very different in 3 years' time to how they look now. So I want you to ask yourselves, as you're listening to the candidates in front of you today, have they got what it takes? Have they got that courage? Have they got that strength of will to make sure that those changes that are coming land well and deliver for ratepayers? Now, the new Plymouth Ratepayers Alliance have very kindly invited us down here today to moderate this debate for you. And I can tell you, because I've got the numbers in front of me, that New Plymouth has been hit harder than most areas over the last couple of years. Rates hikes here have been, on an average, a 38% increase in rates bills in just 3 years. Council debt is approaching about $11,200 for every household in this district. That means year on year, your household is paying about $450 each just on the interest on that alone. Now, if you want to know why that is, speak to Rhys after this, because he'll tell you every instance of council waste in the country. He's your man. But the candidates here tonight are here to tell you how they plan to fix the mess. That's no easy task, but neither's coming here tonight. So obviously, we've already said a brief thank you to these candidates, but I'd like to take another moment and genuinely say, well done, thank you. If you join me in a round of applause for the candidates for turning up tonight. Before we get stuck in, we'll just do a bit of housekeeping, the fun bit. First of all, remember that this event is being recorded. We're planning on sharing that with everyone who couldn't be here tonight, which, by the looks of it, is about 3 or 4 people. So if we try and keep it civil, keep it family friendly. Candidate seats in front of you tonight were drawn at random. So the order they're sat in was picked at random. So if your favourite candidate isn't front and centre, sorry, luck of the draw, that's just how it's going to be. We'll rotate who starts each question as we go, so hopefully everybody gets a chance to start once. Some of the questions are ours, some are from the new Plymouth Ratepayers Alliance. Candidates, we'll start off with 3 minutes from each of you, explaining to the people here today what it is you stand for, what it is you believe in, why these good people should lend you your vote. That's the easy bit, it gets tougher from there. Question time will get shorter as the night goes on. In every round I'll tell you how long you've got. We're going to be tough on the time. You've seen from Alex, he's keen on that bell. You've been warned. And then we'll finish off the night with the toughest part of all, the audience question and answer section. So over here we have a box. We'll have a very brief 10-minute break about halfway through. If you have questions at that point, if you want to go write them over, drop them in the box. Reese will pick them and send them my way. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get started. Each candidate, you'll get 3 minutes to tell the crowd what it is that you will bring to New Plymouth. 3 minutes, and Max, we'll start with you.
Good evening. For those of you that may have been living under a rock, I am the devil incarnate, Max Bruff. Unfortunately, with the allotted 3 minutes, I'm unable to cover the full spectrum of issues. So let's talk about actually, he's just about done my campaign for me. Let's talk about rate caps. Make no mistake, rate caps are an election issue. And I stand firm on my call for capping rates. But before we go any further, let's define what a rates cap really is. It's nothing more than setting an upper limit on spending. An upper limit. Ordinary people do this every day in your lives. Every year we do this. You work out what you've got coming in, and you know how much you can spend. And you spend appropriately, hopefully. At council, it should be no different. In fact, it's a legal requirement. Councils are required to run balanced budgets. Council has a team of people budgeting how much money is needed. We have the same team keeping track of how much the mayor and councillors agree to spend. And therein lies the problem. There is more political ambition to spend than financial reality allows. Do you support reality or ambition? That's my question. These can be mixed, but they need guardrails, which is what a rate cap is. The current 10% cap has become a target and has been smashed by a lack of restraint, alongside a couple of accounting errors. It's not a lack of income issue. Council is a legal monopoly, and they determine their own revenue. After all, they can charge you what they like, and they do so. But let me be very clear. I am not proposing austerity measures. I nearly can't say that word. I am not anti-arts or sport. I am simply proposing we balance the books. The government are sending us a very clear message with the rates cap they are proposing. Get our house in order before asking for assistance. I intend to get ahead of this curve to ensure we're at the front of the queue for a regional deal the government are offering. I also suggest we have an opportunity to get rate increases down and keep them down. However, right now, we are starting this term $3.1 million behind the line, with the council still in spending mode, as you may have noted already. It appears difficult for some to distinguish reality from ambition. To me, a maximum annual rate increase is what I'm signing up for here. A link to the Consumer Price Index, and I'm going to squeeze them to give us another % if I can. This mirrors people's expectations. Time out.
Right, thank you very much. Just about in time. Graeme, if you'd care to give your 3-minute speech.
My name is Graeme Chard. I'm here to offer a unique perspective on how this council has got itself in such a hole. I've had 3 terms of sitting in the back elected seats, watching, learning, observing how the council operates. And the council has been successful in its early days in spite of its processes, not because of them. Changes in circumstances have exacerbated the effect of the deficiencies that operate within the council organisation. And I've demonstrated over the last 3 or 4 years how I've managed to work around those processes to be successful in an area that hasn't been represented at the council table, the Kaitaki ward. I've been able to do that through my experience, my expertise, and the time that I've spent working in broken systems. I'm standing to change the processes that operate within council. We've got really good people that work in there, but they're working on a premise that has been set in the past. We've got good people who have, in some cases, no idea of what they're doing. And they have no idea of what they're doing because they continue working down the path that's been set in the past. My intention is to change, working with the Chief Executive, change how they operate, how they think, how they focus. My intention is to create a mission focus with every single person that works behind those doors, that they identify what it is that they are there to provide you, the ratepayers, and then they're going to be required to do it using the least amount of money that's available. And we will reward them for being able to do things efficiently, effectively, meeting the mission without utilising any additional cash. We've heard from Max that the budgets are treated as a target, but it's worse than that. Not only do they treat the budget as a target, but they're safe in the knowledge that if they achieve the target and then overshoot, they can ask for more money. That has got to stop. That's part of the process that they operate within. That's part of the process that the current councillors have operated within. For those that were at a strategy and operations meeting, why are we spending $3.5 million on King Street, Queen Street, on that intersection? It's because it's in the plan. It's in the long-term plan. We have to do it. Well, to be crass, that is crap. They cannot take it out of the plan without a significant re-consultation with our community. But what they can do is they can slide it until we can afford what's needed. If we're looking at mission focus, the mission is about output. That's what I'll be looking towards. Thank you.
Thank you try that again. Thank you very much, Graeme. Greg, if you wouldn't mind.
Good evening, everybody. It's nice to see you all here tonight. I'm Greg Mackay. I'll be straight up with you, like I normally am. I worked for Port Taranaki for 27 and a half years. I've been in business for about 40 odd years, and I've downsized my businesses. And like Graeme says, the council was in a bad state, and we have to sort it all out, and it will take time. With the community's consent, they have locked the PIF fund away under legislation, so it'll probably be hard to get back out of it. I wouldn't want to use all of it because we need backup dollars, but I'd like to see some of that paid off our debt. And then if we use, say, it's about 409 million, I think, at the moment, which can fluctuate because of the share market. So if we can utilise that with the community support, we can whack 300 million off it, which leaves us in a 100 million nest egg, if you want to call it that. We can still add to that a little bit each year to rebuild it back up again. In the first 3 years, if we all come together, maybe we can pay off the 100 million that's left over in 3 years. I don't know. It's not up to me, nor the council. It's up to the community. After all, we do own it. I'd like to also introduce businesses which can counterbalance our rates systems and everything. Again, community. And if we can get the provider, which is power and gas. So the money comes back to us and not John Key's shareholders. I'd like to see also, if we can, because it's our generation, our new generation's coming up, I'd like to see us debt-free and in the red. That's going to take some work, but we also have our infrastructure to care for. That's top priority. Also, what I'd like to do is introduce our small roading gang to start with, that we used to have. We used to have our waterworks, which is city care, which is owned by Christchurch District Council. So why are we paying them? We also need other little slight businesses that we can compact together. And on my thoughts and things, I would more than welcome people to bring business to us so that we can have some money coming into us. I have 2 more businesses up my sleeve, but then again, it's up to the community. And if we can make money for ourselves, thank you, that's all good.
Thank you for that, Greg. Sarah, if you wouldn't mind.
Kia ora koutou. New Plymouth's needs are simple: fairness, discipline, and optimistic leadership that listens to you. My vision for New Plymouth is that we are a district where everyone belongs, is heard, and thrives. And I mean everyone, our homeless through to our business community and beyond. Some say being visionary equals being a big spender, but I'm going to push back on that. Having a vision is leadership, and a mayor is here to lead. I'm not here to tell you how to live your lives or to micromanage, but I am here to set the tone and set the expectations and bring people together. Things are changing at pace. Regional deals, potentially. Reform, water, RMA, the purpose of local government. It is coming at us and it is coming fast. For that, we need someone who is staunch enough to front up in Wellington and put New Plymouth on the table. People are hurting. Rates are still rising. I hear it. I'm a ratepayer. But we have infrastructure that needs work. And the reality is we have a massive infrastructure deficit and we have to face up to it. To tackle all of this, the mayor must be relatable and real, know the difference between management and leadership. We need to set our own agenda. It should not be set by central government. Make no mistake, the mayor is here to balance the operations and to ensure efficiency. On day one, I will set the direction. Cut waste, manage rates, but don't strip the front line. Here's how. First, we review big ticket items. If the numbers don't stack up, we make them stack up. 2, we leave the LTP in the current cycle. Bringing it forward will cost you money and it will slam our new councillors. 3rd, we need to get away from land value rating, move to capital value. What it does is it smooths the way. The pensioner on a modest piece of land pays less, the mansion pays more. 4th, and the most important part, is we push back on central government. We don't do what they want us to do all the time. We push back and we get back our GST that you pay on your rates. That is 30 million in the first year alone. There's your 0 rate rise and some. My target, hold rates as low as we can. Not blows with a hammer, but revise with a scalpel. I run a business and I know what it means to make every dollar count. But I'm not just a simple soap maker from Inglewood. I am a proven leader and I'm here to put New Plymouth at the front and to lobby for our district. I know how to front up in Wellington. I've been doing it for 3 years. I know how to push back. I will not bow down to central government or any lobby group. I will protect this district. It will not be hobbled on my watch.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And finally, David, if we could hear from you.
Tēnā koutou katoa. This is my third election and my first is standing for mayor. I love this place and the people who make it home, and that's why I need to say this plainly. The tone of our local elections has been a disgrace. On social media and elsewhere, voices hiding behind badges and alliances smear division, racism, disrespect and misinformation without consequence. Since when did local elections become a licence for spite and bile? Every person who serves the council, elected or staff, has whānau living here. They have kids at our schools, parents in our hospitals and mates in our clubs. And when you peddle your hate on the council and its people, you are peddling the same hate on people your own families sit with, work with, play with and live alongside. The poison doesn't unite us, it drives us away, and it drives people away. It empties the streets, shops, fields and walkways, and it makes good people decide to move away. Our team does not come to work to make anyone's life harder. They turn up because they believe in the district and want to help. Balance is the work of council. You won't always agree, but you can disagree respectfully without demeaning others. Not once in my life have I thought it okay to publicly shame someone who's doing their very best for their community. My entire adult life has been about service, helping people do their best and respecting differences while working on outcomes together. The sanctity of our democracy relies on us protecting these things so every person can speak, participate and belong without fear. Our people are attacked for the culture and beliefs they stand up in. This isn't debate, this is a strategy to divide. Our district will only thrive when we lift each other, tell the truth quickly and focus on solutions. Let's be tough on problems, not people. And the economic truth, racist, divisive behaviours don't just hurt people, they make us less productive. They push talent away and sap energy. Energy that should be for innovation, teaching, caring and building. The economic cost shows up as staff shortages, slower projects and cancelled events. The opposite is also true. Places that practice respect and inclusion grow faster, attract investment and turn differences into advantages, and that's the new Plymouth I'm fighting for. He tangata, he tangata, he tangata.
Thank you very much, David. Ladies and gentlemen, your candidates. Now we'll get into what you're all here for, which is the questions. We're a ratepayer group. How could it be anything else is the first question? Kicking you off, and we'll start with Graeme this time and work our way through. Finish with you, Max, if that's okay. $11,000 per household in debt. Rates hikes of 38% in just 3 years. All of that hits ratepayers right in the back pocket. What is your plan to pay down debt and reduce rates?
The first step is to look at what the processes are in terms of how those particular projects are set up and funded. We need to identify what it is that we should be producing, not the bells and whistles. We save all of that for later if we can afford it. But I talked about mission, identify what the outcome is that we're trying to fund. We then identify what it's going to cost to produce that, to match the external costs, to match the processing that we have to work with external to the council organisation, identify a budget, and then reward people if they can bring it in under that budget on spec. Because in our lives, that's how we do it at home. Once we've got that budget identified, we've completed the project below budget, that surplus, half of it funds debt, the other half is put into a holding account for the next annual plan. If we can do that across the board with every single activity within council, with review of the priority and how important each of those roles are to our community, then we can provide that saving across the board within our organisation. And that saving will end up over a very short period of time enabling us to clear the debt that we have at the moment and not have to rely on putting extra bonus or extra onus on you to come up with more money with ratepayers that we, or with rate rises that we cannot afford.
Thank you very much. You're going to be sick of me hearing, asking this question by the end. But Greg, same question to you. $11,000 per household in debt, rate hikes of 38% in 3 years. What is your plan to pay down debt and reduce rates?
Like I was just saying, we've got to reduce our stuff. We need to re-evaluate every department in the district council to see where we can cut things, projects and everything. I don't want to see any more projects, and I don't want to see any more monumental building. So, to me, that would probably be a good saving for a start. But we need to, the departments, you know, they really need looking at. And to get the rates down, that has to be re-evaluated as well. But to do that, like I was saying before, we need to bring businesses in. We need to bring them in to subsidise everything. And if we can, and if it's up to the community to say yes or no, but we need to do something for our community. And I'm here for the community. I'm not here for prestige. I want to see us working together as you would call it, say, hey, imagine a big family. The community coming together and helping, making the decisions, saying yes, saying no. And I think that's a good start. We just got to nail it down so that we can get some, valuation somewhere, because there's a lot of waste of money out there, as you know. And I'm right into hammering it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Same question to you, please. Sarah, what is your plan to pay down debt and reduce rates?
Thank you. The reason rates have gone up so steeply over the last 3 years is because of our infrastructure deficit. So what do? Do we let the infrastructure crumble under our feet? Or do we face up to the fact that right now we need pipes in the ground, we need new bridges, and we need to maintain what we have? Because if we kick the can down the road, we're going to be here in 30 years' time having the same conversation. So my plan is face up to what we have to face up to. 282 million over the next 10 years in major projects. Of that, there is only 3 which are good to have. They're not nice to haves, they're good to have, because they provide well-being for you, your children, your grandchildren. So we fix the infrastructure now because it is cheaper to do it today. We find efficiencies. We trim with a scalpel. We don't hollow out services at the moment because our community will suffer, the well-being will suffer. We are at a time of huge local government inflation. Our cost indexes are going up. It's 38% more expensive now to build a bridge than it was 4 years ago. So we're at a crossroads. Reducing rates, that was the question, right, is impossible. It's not going to happen. And anyone that tells you that they're going to put rates up with the line of inflation is misleading you. It will mean closures, it will mean roads go unrepaired, it will mean pipes continue to crumble. Okay, we haven't been paying enough. Now is the time to face up to what we need to face up to.
Thank you very much. Same question to you, please, David. What is your plan to pay down debt and to reduce rates?
Our New Plymouth District Council's revenue to rate ratio is 135%. Net debt is 135%. If you took an average house, $120,000 a year potentially, and you bought and you had a $500,000 mortgage, your ratio would be 416%. So when people are telling everyone that we are swimming in debt, we are actually in a place where we are managing the debt the right way. We also have a limit of 12.5% of everyone's rates, and at the moment we're sitting at about 8.7%. 8.7%, and 12.5 is low compared to the national average. All the rates are paid off, so when we take a loan out, just like a mortgage, we have 30 years or 25 years or 20 years or 15 years to pay that back. And all of the loans that accumulate to the 407 million are paid off at different rates. They are not sitting there growing without just interest only. They are being paid off like you pay off a mortgage. So the rhetoric that we're drowning in rates, I don't know how many of you have still got a mortgage. I have, but if you've got a mortgage and you work out what your revenue to rates ratio is, revenue to mortgage ratio is, and it's below 135% or around that number, then you are operating the same level as what the council is operating.
Thank you very much, David. And to finish off, Max, what is your what is your plan to pay down debt and reduce rates?
I feel like we've heard some excuses tonight, a couple of areas around that. The infrastructure isn't crumbling. Council have an asset management program that looks after stuff, and part of the process is it's all analysed, and you look at how much you need to renew every year. So we've had some upgrades and we've had some renewals of late that have been quite big, but we are not in an infrastructure deficit. Make no mistake, we got good grip on our infrastructure. The spending has been okay for the last few years. The problem that is going with the rate increases is that it's the other stuff we're adding on top. It's not the infrastructure falling apart, and I'm sorry, but the budget to spend on capital expenditure for the next 10 years is not 200 and something million, it's actually 1.5 billion. And that's what your debt pile is going to grow. It's going to grow with that. You can't reduce the debt that it is now, I'm sorry, but you can't. But we can control the rates. We can control the rates with the guardrails of a rates cap to get people's expectations back into this band of where it needs to be. And that's actually quite simple. That's one of the tools. The other thing that we're going to get is the 4 well-beings are taken out of the Local Body Act. That will mean that we have to prioritise the infrastructure first, and we'll do the other stuff if there's any money left. But that's one of the tools we need. We can't pay down the debt. We've got to get it manageable going forward. Oh, that's only 30 seconds, isn't it? So one of the things I've seen happen is we don't have the right accounting principles. What we're doing is we are borrowing money on all these capital projects to pay for the staff time that is being put into that project. And Queen Street is a perfect example. $600,000 of money has been spent, not a spade in the ground, and that money is now going to get borrowed to cover staff time and contractors, and you have to pay for it for 25 years.
Thank you very much for that. Moving on to our next question, which again will be 2 minutes. So we've just seen figures showing that emigration from New Zealand is at record highs. We're seeing the same region to region. People are leaving regions like Taranaki, especially young people. What is your plan to boost youth employment and opportunities for young people? Starting with Greg, please.
That's probably the hard one, but it's not really. With youth, a lot of it's what they want to do, but I believe that we can help make them getting into work and bits and pieces like that. Like I was saying before, with the power and gas company, just take this for an example. You know, you got your smart meters, they come in and they take your reading and they send it out to you. Why can't we get our youth to go around and take the meter readings? Or even the older generation. That's creating employment. That's creating employment. And we can do that. We can do that if people are willing also out there to be able to do that so we can get the youth under. There's other jobs out there that they can do for the community if need be. But we've got to get somewhere to start with. We just can't leave them lying around and watching their cell phones and things. So it's going to be hard yakka, but I'm willing to take a step into it and see what we can do for the youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Greg. Sarah, same question to you, please. What is your plan for youth opportunity and employment?
It's pretty simple. We have to increase civics. We have to lower the voting age, and to do that, we have to be back down in Wellington. How awful. 16-year-olds can get married. They can have firearms licenses. They can drive vehicles. The proof and the research is very clear. When you lower the voting age, you set up a lifetime of voters, and then we have engaged youth in the room. Wow. We will stay in LGNZ and keep participating in the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs because it has real outcomes on the ground in the grassroots. We will pay the living wage at the council and start an apprenticeship scheme. We will bring in a youth council, and we will work hard to make sure that we keep WIT, that it's here, that it's financially stable, and that we can train our young people on the ground here in New Plymouth District.
Thank you very much, Sarah. David, please, what is your plan for youth employment and opportunity?
I'm actually unsure what age youth stops at, but I'll give it a go. The youth I'm thinking about in terms of not leaving the town or not wanting to leave the town or finding employment for youth, we have to make this city a place where people want to come and visit. Because when people come and visit this place, the place is full, and then the youth have that employment because most of our youth are either working in casual work, they work in restaurants, they work in supermarkets, and they work in the service industry. That is where the majority of our youth work. And if we haven't got a service industry, if we haven't got restaurants, if we haven't got bars open, if we haven't got anything like that open, then they won't have that work. So we need to set up a vibrant events calendar. So we've got people coming to town on a regular basis to stay and hopefully live. If our town is dying, people will not come. They will not come to stay and they will not come to live. So managed growth is super important in all of this because we need to continue to grow. We need to continue to attract people here because that fills those jobs that are required for our young people.
Thank you very much, David. Same question to you, Max. Youth employment and opportunity.
I feel like a bit of policy being made on the hoof here tonight. And I almost feel qualified to partially answer this one, because I employ some young people in my business, and what I can tell you is they don't want council telling them where they need to work, what they need to do. So if you think about the question that's been posed, what we need job growth. That's foundational. What we need is industry organisations wanting to operate out of WIT, maybe an ITO, BCITO, something I know a little bit about in that sphere. We need some training organisations to come and set up. But we had all of that at WIT once, and someone in their wisdom decided we were going to pursue this knowledge economy, and they drove it into the ground. And we lost all our trade training bases. That was criminal. That was almost a criminal action. They sold all the gear, and there's no ability to train youth. There's no pathway out of school for them to go to. So what we need to do is we need to look at re-establishing what actually young people want to do when they leave school, and they don't know, actually. We used to get careers advisors telling us, you're a dummy, you can go and build houses, you're a smart fellow, you can go and... So we've got to create some pathways, but more importantly, we've got to have businesses here that can afford to stay here and grow their jobs and look to bring money in from outside the region to get this place growing again. That's what we need, job growth for youth.
Thank you very much. And finishing off with you, please, Graeme, youth employment and opportunity.
Anybody who came up to Founders Cafe at Pukeiti would see how many young people I had working for me there. Anybody who came to my takeaway shop at Okato could see how many young people I had working there. They weren't there because that was the only job they got. They were working there because we grew them. We gave them the opportunity to develop, not just to carry out meaningless, menial tasks, but to be able to take my place running the business. What we need to do as a council, we can't afford to pay to set up training institutions. We can't afford to spend money developing huge growth in the hope that the next generation would stay and all the young people that have left would want to come back. What we need to be able to do from a council perspective is to be able to assist with whatever mechanisms we can to reduce the cost to businesses, to put them in a position where they're able to offer the opportunity for apprenticeships, for young people to put their toe in the water with particular areas of employment. We need to make sure that we are, as Max has said, a vibrant community that has job growth, that provides young people when they leave school, when they're still at school, with the opportunity to go out and find places to work. Because at the moment, while they're leaving, there's nothing here for them. When I was younger, that's why I left. As soon as I was old enough, I was out the gate and I was gone and I was never coming back. I don't want to see any of our young people feeling the way that I did when I was a young kid. I want to see us producing places, encouraging organisations that the young people who are leaving school have the opportunity to find work that's meaningful to them.
Thank you very much. Now, again, this will be a 2-minute answer. It's a bit of a technical one, so if you need me to repeat it, by all means, just ask. Sarah, I believe we're starting with you this time. Adaptation to climate change is seeing sweeping planning reforms, new levies, and even involuntary relocation through so-called managed retreat. Other council areas are seeing managed retreats where council planning decisions are leaving people unable to get home insurance or losing mortgage cover. Councils have a big role to play in this. What are your views on managed retreat, and how will you, as the mayor, protect residents' homes and property rights?
I'm not going to get you to repeat that. So, managed retreat. If we are looking at a situation where we do need to start looking at managed retreat, then we need to do it in conjunction with the communities that are most impacted. So there are many ways of engaging, and one of them is deliberative democracy and getting communities involved with making their own decisions. The council is an enabler and it is a legislator. It is here to set the to live the district plan, to enforce the district plan. And as such, it must bring people along on the ride and ensure that there is community buy-in. They've done this in Westport, an amazing blueprint. The entire town may need to be shifted, and they have used deliberative democracy, and the whole community came to an agreement about where it could go. These are the blueprints for what we could use here in the New Plymouth district in the future, because however you think, however you believe climate is changing, whatever the causes that you believe, it is changing. We are seeing that. So far, we have been very lucky here in New Plymouth, but eventually we're going to have a big event and we're going to have to face up to what's going on. So the council has a massive role to play in ensuring that the community is engaged and has the ultimate decision making at their fingertips. Did that kind of answer that big, long question? Oh. What was the second part?
What are your views? How will you as the mayor protect residents' homes and
Property rights. Property rights is a really interesting question, isn't it? Because we are looking down the barrel of some RMA reform at the moment. So until that is on the table and passed, then it's difficult to answer that question. However, property rights are going to be elevated as part of the reforms that the current government is pushing through. When that is on the table and the council has wrapped their heads around the implications, then I guess at the end of the day, it comes back to the community as well.
Thank you very much. Same question to you, please, David. In light of managed retreat, what are your views on this, and how will you as the mayor protect residents' homes and property rights?
Managed retreat. So climate change is happening, and it doesn't really matter how you think it's happening, but it is happening. And we have a situation, I suppose Waitara is a good example. There's been some stuff on Facebook lately about the Waitara Spatial Plan. So the Waitara Spatial Plan went out for consultation with the community out there, and there was a lot of work done around where the areas of flooding were in Waitara and what those issues were, and whether that would cause any damage to their homes if there was a significant rain event, or potentially the stock bank bursting. That was done in consultation with a lot of the Waitara community, including the Māori community. What has come of that, and what will come of all areas in New Plymouth, is that every new area will have a spatial plan, and on that spatial plan, in fact, you can actually go to the district plan right now and you can get through the layers and you can actually have a look at where the flood areas are and where the dangerous areas are and where you should build and where you shouldn't build. So the work has already really started. In terms of managed retreat, we're going to have those discussions with some areas of our community. And in terms of how we protect them and we protect those houses, that is a conversation that will come through legislation, because it will be legislated. And if you have a look at what's happened over in the Hawke's Bay, basically government just went, the council has to foot half the bill for all of the things that happen in the East Valley. So part of it will be legislation and part of it will be council decision.
Thank you very much, David. Same question to you, Max. Managed retreat. How will you, as mayor, protect people's homes and property rights?
Pretty easy question, really, isn't it? I'm a firm believer in private property rights. I think we need to keep in mind that climate change and erosion are two different things, but they're both linked together. So what are we trying to solve here with this? Are we trying to solve climate adaptation, or are we trying to protect people's homes from the result of erosion that's caused by climate change or however you view it might have been caused. If you want to have a policy where we say to everybody, we're going to protect you no matter what, the reality is we can't afford to pay for it. You're worried about the debt now. If we start doing that, you won't even be able to afford to pay your rates to cover the interest bill on the debt. So we have to work through that as it comes up before us. But for myself, I look at what the data that they're collecting for the stormwater modelling, and I look at what's happening with that. And I think we have to start using the data to help people that are affected. So one of the things that's happening in Waitara, they're saying this flooded area out here, it's the data, the spatial planning showing that you're all going to get washed out of your houses one day in a 1 in 100 year flood, therefore we won't give you insurance. What we have to do is take that information and say, our information shows that this place will only suffer from a 1 in 100 or a 1 in 200. Therefore, you need to give those people insurance and maybe exclude that, but you need to give them insurance for all the rest of it, because we can't just stop giving people insurance. We have to help people get through this. The only way we can do that is if we use the data that we're collecting to support their case when they need support. We can't go out and just keep chucking money at this. We can't stick money away in bank accounts on the one day that it might happen, which is what we started to do this year. That's got to stop. We need to put the money where it gets the greatest return, which is actually in our PIF fund right now that's helping everybody in this town.
Thank you very much, Max. Same to you, please, Graeme.
There's a concern that Manage Retreat is all about a big brother organisation telling people that they have to get out of their homes. If you were one of those folk who was sitting in a property that your family had lived in for years out at Waitara, and you could see the end of the house dropping into the ocean, you'd be quite happy to have somebody help you move. That doesn't mean that we should be telling people in areas that are not at risk now that they need to move. What we need to do is we need to look at mitigating the effects that could cause that 1 in 200 year flood to affect those houses that may be at risk. We need to be risk aware, not risk averse. So this plan of uprooting people and shifting them, and if they won't move, they won't get insurance because we've said to the world in general that they're going to be at risk, is fundamentally flawed.
Thank you very much. And finally, Greg, Managed Retreat, what are your views on this? How will you protect residents' homes and property rights?
As I say, with all the flooding and stuff like that, and around the world, not only just here, it's something that's going to have to be sorted out over the years. It's not going to happen instantly. The tide's not going to rise 2 or 3 metres in one day, is it? Or over a period of time. If it's going to rise, it'll rise over a period of time. I'll give you an instance of erosion out at Waitara caused by the district council. Okay? When they did the Waitara River and the stone wall broke, right? So they only go so far out with it. And then there's a gap in the rest of the stone wall. What happens is the river comes down, and then it comes back up with the tide coming in. It goes through that gap and gouges out East Beach. I had to put my aunties in a home because of the erosion there, right? Because they took the rocks away and used them on the walkway. They need to be put back. So my first auntie, she lasted 2 weeks. My other auntie lasted another 21 days. And all I want to do is go home. Now, there's a type of thing that needs protecting, and I'm right into protecting that and anybody else's property, but it has to be done properly. We just can't just run it straight and clean into it. It's just something that we have to evaluate, and drainage systems have to go in, then storm drainage systems will have to go in. And if it means you don't want to shift and you know you're going to have flooding, jack your house up, like they do in Australia, and fill in underneath. Thank you.
Right, thank you all. You'll be glad to know you're through the 2-minute questions. So we're going to step the time back a little bit now, 90 seconds each on all of these. It was a pretty technical question, so we'll take it a bit lighter here. Starting with you, David. What's one thing that you think New Plymouth District Council is doing well? And what's one thing you'd scrap on day one if you were elected mayor?
One thing I think that I know that the New Plymouth District Council is doing well is within their PMO team. Their PMO team is a new team that has been established and has realised approximately $22 million worth of savings over the past year in terms of their work program, which has allowed them to get on with more work. So they're doing a really good job. One thing I would scrap immediately would be the committee structure. The committee structure is convoluted, it's too long, and it's too officer heavy. So that would help with efficiency of some of our officers to let them do more of the work that they need to do rather than reporting. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Right, to you, Max, please. What's one thing you think the council are doing well? What's one thing you'd scrap on day one if you were elected?
Both hard choices. I do think the council have been looking after the infrastructure pretty well this term. I think we've got a grip on it. If you look at some of the, and I hate to say it, but last election we were challenged to go out and sort the potholes out. Pretty much think that's come back under control this term. There's still a bit of tidying up to go, so I'm pretty proud to have been part of that. What I'd scrap on day one, I don't want to say because that'll prejudice some of my positions that I want to adopt. I'm thinking about how you go about that, and as a mayor, you don't have unilateral authority to do that. I think we need to get to a point where we have a council that go, we are the mandated voice for the community. And there's some projects that we need to look at. Is that the first thing or the second? Good. There's some projects we need to look at, so we need to go and have a look at the long-term plan. And as a group of councillors that have been clearly elected to carry through with some stuff, we go through that process and we start making some cuts in some of those, dare I say it, nice to have things.
Thank you, Max. Graeme, one thing you think the council are doing well, one thing you'd scrap on day one.
I agree that the one thing that this council has done really well is to address the infrastructure issues in terms of water, wastewater, clean water, stormwater, roading. The one thing that we do really poorly is control the processes and functions internally within council, where we've got officers who apply the letter of a policy, not the intent of a policy. And what that ends up doing is making all the processes convoluted, difficult and frustrating for everybody that needs to be the recipient of those services.
Thank you very much. Same to you, Greg. What's one thing you think the council are doing well? What's one thing you'd scrap on day one?
I think the council have been quite reasonable with some of their infrastructure, and I've noticed that I went to a deputation a long time ago, and I said they need to do the hotspots within our underground stuff, and they have done some of that, and some of it has been collapsed or whatever, and they've fixed it. Going ahead with the sewage system out at Yuranui, also with the sewage system out here at Waiwakaio. I don't know whether they've done anything about the water at Kato yet, whether they need more water supply, but that's something we can have a look at. And I'm not going to scrap anything, but what I'd like to know is, do you want water meters? Hands up if they want water meters. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, if you wouldn't mind, one thing you think the council are doing well, one thing you'd scrap.
Much easier question. What does New Plymouth District Council do well? Well, I've been visiting rest homes and talking to youth and talking to many people in the community, and the message is clear that what New Plymouth District Council does well are our parks, our playgrounds and our pools. They're amazing, they're part of our wellbeing and they're really good to have. What would I scrap? Day one, along with a new look committee structure, you would see an open chamber, a transparent chamber. I have a glass door policy, literally take the doors off, put glass on, scrap the standing orders, only use them if we need them. That way, you guys can come into the chamber and talk to us like human beings. It's accountable, it's transparent, and it's human beings talking to human beings. Oh, I'd also scrap parking fees for the first hour in the CBD.
Thank you very much. Now, I think, David, you've touched on this a little bit already, but I mean, you know, I've come up from Wellington. We've seen what happened there with the council where the claws are out. There's very little collaboration. Nothing really gets over the line. Now, this question is, I suppose, around building a team on the council. Not everyone is going to have the same, not everybody is going to have previous council experience, and council infighting gets residents nowhere. So my question to you, starting with you, please, Max, is how would you build a cohesive team on council moving forwards?
I'm proud to say that I've been part of a fairly cohesive team this term, and I've learned a few lessons from that. One of the things I wouldn't do is I wouldn't adopt a corporate team building structure. I think we need to actually learn to respect each other for what we are, for what we say, and I want to be part of a council that actually listens to what people come in and say to us. I'm sorry, Sarah, but I just need to push back on, you can't scrap standing orders. The government are going to change those for us anyway, but part of a team is actually understanding the things that we're talking about and doing a bit of research before we start. So part of my team building's already been happening. One or two of you might have noticed that around some of the media articles, some of the commentary that's been running around. It's already underway. We're not all there yet. There's still two camps, it looks like, in the council election campaign process, but we have to come together after that and start understanding each other, talking to each other, clearly defining what we want to achieve in the term. One of the things that Neil imparted to me early on was, while you're here, use your power for good. So that's something I'll be telling the candidates that come through this process. We're here for the benefit of the community and we have to act accordingly.
Thank you very much, Max. Graeme, please, how would you build a cohesive team on council?
While I come from a military background where people consider that the general at the front tells all the troops to do it and they all follow through, what we need to do is we need to instill an understanding of where we are headed and why, and to come to a consensus in terms of the agreement with the direction, not the path we walk, but the direction that we head. And once we can all agree to the path that we head, we don't have to walk in the same footprints. We can, as long as we're heading in the right direction, and that direction is the one that is set down by the community in terms of their aspirations and their desires. That's how I would manage, so that when you've got people understanding what they're there for, understanding what they're doing, you don't have to sit there watching them, because when they stop seeing you watch, they stop doing what you've agreed to. We need to get everybody on board and we need to get everybody heading in the right direction. And I've got the skills and experience to be able to do that.
Thank you very much. Greg, please, how would you build a cohesive team on council?
trust and honesty is a good one to start with. I would say the understanding of each individual and what they want to process and what they don't want to process. We have to have that, and then team effort building. We also need to put in place probably where there's any moaning and groaning, it needs to be sorted straight away, squashed, and I don't believe in backstabbing or anything like that. I'm a very honest, upfront person. So we would need to do that. So we're building a great team of people, and also the great team also comes from the community. The community is us. We, mayor, councillors, we are just there to look after everything, and we have to do that in the best interest that we have, so we need that good team. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Same to you, please, Sarah. How would you build a cohesive team on council?
Part of building a cohesive team would be relaxing standing orders, which the mayor can make a call on under the LGA, just to clarify. I live with teenagers, so actually 3 teenage boys to be precise, so I am the ultimate team builder. And I agree with Max, actually. It doesn't need to be corporate. It needs to, a mayor particularly, needs to recognise everyone's talents and skill sets and talk to the team about their passions. And if we can have a team of people around the table where their passions are being realised, then it will start to hum. And I also agree with Graeme that moving together, having that mission, this is actually called democracy, and in a respectful, open and safe place, then we can all contribute our talents and skills to make really good decisions for the district.
Thank you. And then finally, David, please, how would you build a cohesive team around council?
With STV voting, we have the most diverse council, I think, that we've ever had this time around. And the one before that was reasonably diverse. It was the first time around for STV. And what it demonstrated was that a lot of people with a lot of different ideas can cohabitate and work together. And that can be done and should be done through empowering each of those individuals. Every single person around the table needs to feel like they are heard, feel like they have a voice, and feel like they have a way forward for their vision. Because every councillor has their own vision of what they would like to happen or like to see within council. And giving them the platform to do that is really, really, really important. You have to do that respectfully, and you have to have a shared overall vision that everyone believes in and everyone's willing to work towards. So setting up early, coming together with a shared vision, and then letting people go off and do their things and empowering them to do that is the best way to build a great team.
That was a quick trip, wasn't it? Hey, I was reminded by my dear wife, you forgot to introduce yourself. I'm Kevin Moratti, and I'm chairman of the Ratepayers Alliance, New Plymouth, and I'm proud to have a fantastic team around me. I forgot to introduce 2 of my team. One of them is here, which is Mr. Pete Cowley down the back. He's joined us recently, and he's a real hard worker. Thank you, Peter. And the other one that couldn't be here tonight, he's recovering, is Alan Warner. So we've got a good cross-section. We're going to have a break shortly, but I'll just put a shot across your bows, guys, because the Ratepayers Alliance is getting stronger and stronger. The council has never been held to account like it has this last year. So we've got a good team, we'll ask the hard questions, and we'll hold you accountable. So with that, we'll have a short break, and we'll be back here into some questions. Now, if you There's a box up there in front of Colleen. There. Right, thank you very much for your attention. It's amazing seeing you all out there chatting to each other. And it's amazing the amount of different people that we've met on this journey through to this election. So I'd like to hand the stage back to James. And he's going to... It's quite good, actually, someone else running the night. It takes a lot of pressure off. Welcome, James.
Thank you very much, Kevin. First things first, I've had a few people ask, so if we could just run through and reintroduce ourselves, sort of names, any affiliations, just sort of one by one, if you wouldn't mind.
Affiliations? None.
Graeme Chard, I've spent 38 years as an instrument of government and the last 12 as a victim. Greg McKay, affiliated to nobody.
Perfect. Right. In a moment, we will get stuck into the Q&A. Reece is just pulling through the box now, getting some questions. I'm going to take the opportunity to ask my first question while I'm up here. So the Taxpayers Union have been travelling around the country asking candidates whether they would sign their ratepayer protection pledge. Now, so far, over 350 candidates have publicly committed to the following: to not vote for any rate hikes above the rate of inflation and population growth, to commit to full financial transparency, publishing all council financials, so something that overseas would be called armchair audit, and to oppose further unelected appointees on council committees with voting rights. My question, and we'll work through Max working our way down, 60 seconds to answer. Will you publicly commit to signing the pledge for fairer rates, more transparency and democracy? Why or why not? 60 seconds each, please.
I have a counter question. Do you have it here tonight?
We do have it here tonight.
Good.
Perfect. Graeme, will you sign the pledge?
When I looked at it online, I wanted to sign paragraph 2 and I wanted to sign paragraph 3 and I wanted to change that CPI cap to a more realistic figure. But I couldn't go past 1 to get to 2 and 3 without filling it in, so no.
If you'd like to sign 2 and 3, we can do that as well. We've had a couple of candidates across the country do 2 and 3. Greg, would you sign the pledge?
The good part about signing the pledge is every time I print it out, because I've got to poke it back through my email machine, is it comes up blank. So at the moment, I can't do it, but I will get to do it. Thank you.
Sarah, will you sign the pledge?
Great question. And no, I won't, because I won't sign a pledge from any group, anywhere, any lobby group. And the figures are that currently there's about 4,000 to 4,500 people standing. So that's about 7 to 8% have signed so far. And I'm with Graeme. I liked number 2. But, sorry.
We can do number 2 if you'd like to sign number 2.
Talk later.
And finally, David, same to you. Will you sign the pledge?
No, I won't be signing the pledge. I can't guarantee that we can keep rates to that. We don't even know what's going to happen. We've got a CCO coming with water. Water's going to be stripped out. We're going to probably have to have a rates review around that. So in terms of what actually are going to happen with rates, we don't know what that rate is, and I can pretty much guarantee it's not just going to be inflation. What was it, inflation plus CPI or inflation?
Inflation plus population growth.
Well, our population's not growing at the moment, so that'll give us no room to move, so no.
Thank you very much. Those of you who are keen to sign all or some of that, we'll have a chat afterwards and we can get that sorted. Right, on to the audience questions. First of all, we'll start with you, Graeme. What are your views on the cycleway to Waitara? The cycleway to Waitara. Waitara. There you go.
So I was out at Waitara 3 days ago and they didn't tell me they were getting those ridiculous cycleway Tim Tam things like we've got. I'm presuming you mean the walkway to Waitara. Right. So what are my thoughts on the walkway to Waitara? I think it is absolutely essential. Anybody who's tried to negotiate that road, either walking or by push bike, from Waiwakaiho through to Waitara, you're taking your life into your hands. We need a safe pathway from Waitara to Bell Block to the port, but we shouldn't be spending $42 million making it happen.
Greg, same question to you, please.
I think it's a great idea. It gives people a bit more independence, the younger generations as well. When I walked from the port out to Bell Block and back again, I was a bit exhausted after that. But yeah, no, it's a great thing. And like Graeme says, the $42 million needs to be re-evaluated. They say there's toilets on the way, like at the airport, but they actually need to be on the walkway. And because we have disability people that go along there, we also have children and ourselves. Thank you.
Same to you, please, Sarah.
42 million, but Big Brother in Wellington's going to help pay for some of that. So it comes down to 24 million. And I'm with Graeme. I completely support it. When the council changes, we can look at the numbers. If they don't stack up, we can make them stack up. But at the end of the day, the community wants the coastal walkway through to Waitara.
Same to you, please, David.
Just reiterating Sarah in terms of the government funding that we're getting from it. Unfortunately, when you chase government money, you have to make things the way they want it made to get that money. And part of that is that we have to concrete that area so it is accessible for all. In terms of one of the reasons why I voted for the walkway was because if you have a look at where our population is growing, with Area Q out near the airport, and then they've just opened up and rezoned the other side of Airport Drive for residential as well, is that that's the way that this town is growing. And so in 20, 30 years, there'll be a path going past all of those houses and it'll get them into town without having to hit the road. So it's a very good long-term decision.
And then finally, for you, Max, same question. Do you support the walkway?
At least you're getting more steps in tonight, eh? The walkway. So let me be very clear. If I'm leading this council, there will be no Public Works Act taking of land from private property owners that are being affected by the walkway. You got that, Glenn? There will be no public taking of land from private property owners to complete the walkway. Number one. The next thing is, the money that's coming from the government is being given to us on the provision that we do things in a manner that they want. It's also been very clearly outlined that we have to do things with all the people that are affected along there, what they want, and some of the interested parties out there. And that is what's causing the extra cost. So there's not enough money in the budget to buy the land. So the 42 million actually isn't going to be enough to do that pathway anyway. So we do need a walkway, but we don't need to do it the way it's being done.
Thank you very much. Right, starting with you, Greg, this time, please. 60 seconds again. What is the role of council in addressing homelessness?
Yeah, well, that's a good one. You can give anything you like to the homeless and places to go, sleep. We can't really do much about it, probably as a council. We can only help the people that, like Windsor or whoever, and all those people to help house them. I have taken meals to them on the street. I've also took them some Easter eggs at Easter time, because nobody else thinks about them. So I did that. But we can only work through it. It's really a governmental thing, but we have to work through it because they're in our town and they needed to be housed. So it's something that we need to probably look at as a whole community. Thank you.
Sarah, please, same to you. Role of the council in addressing homelessness.
So the role of the mayor and council is to lead and to listen. And what we need to be doing is listening to the community on this, the business community, the NGOs, government, police. But we also need to listen to the people who are sleeping out on the streets. So far, their voice has been pretty much ignored. So if I was the mayor, one of the first things I'd be doing is looking to listen to those people, find out what's happening for them and the impacts, and then bring people together to find common solutions to the problem.
Same to you, please, David.
Interestingly, two things happened that made this an issue in our town. One was the closing of the Fitzroy men's shelter, and the second was the opening of the downtown car park. Because when they did open the downtown car park to do work on it, they found that all the homeless were living in there. And so they were out of the way, so they weren't a problem. And because we opened the downtown car park and the homeless shelter shut down, they had nowhere else to stay, so it has become our problem, and we are and have demonstrated some initiative in terms of putting funding in with YMCA to help with the issue. So it has become our problem, but it is not only our problem.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Max, same to you. What is the role of council in addressing homelessness?
The role of council is not to be the lead agency on this. The role of council is to be the support agency. And what's happened is by the government agencies that should be leading this, and there are a few of them, they've taken a back seat and let the council and the ratepayers pick up the tab. So we've been part of this. The YMCA have been a very big part of this, and they didn't really need to step up and do this also. But what's happened is the ratepayers and the council have led this charge. What needs to happen going forward is the government and the government agencies that are responsible for this need to step up and be beside us.
Thank you, Max. And finally, same to you, please, Graeme. What is the role of council in addressing homelessness?
The role of council is to address the impact that homeless people are having on our residents, on our business community. I'm with Max. We shouldn't be taking the lead of it. You shouldn't be paying for it. The people who you pay taxes to fund those organisations, that's where it should be. That's where the work should be done. And we should be mobilising our community through our MPs and through anybody else that will listen in the Wellington corridors of power to get them off their backsides and do what they're paid to do.
Thank you very much. And starting with you, Sarah, should be a lively one. Do you support oil and gas exploration?
It's not up for me as to whether I support oil and gas exploration. It is up to to what's going on in the broader picture, government settings. Is there oil and gas that's explorable? Are there going to be any new finds? Is it economically viable? Because from what I'm hearing, it isn't. So no matter what we do, there may be no new oil and gas finds off Taranaki. So regardless, we divest, we get creative, we invest in renewable energy, and we face the Wow, so controversial. Renewable energy. Who would have thought? That's my answer.
Thank you, Sarah. Same to you, David. Do you support oil and gas exploration? Nice, easy answers. That's what we like to see. Same to you, Max.
Last weekend, I had the opportunity to go and visit a conference in Palmerston North where the promoter of the Regional Deal Fund and the biggest supporter of oil and gas in this country was spending his weekend at his conference. I have never been a joiner of political parties in my life, but I've joined 4 this year to find out what they're talking about, and I made a very big point of spending some time in the company of Mr. Shane Jones, Mātua Shane Jones, to try and make sure we're in part of this supporting the oil and gas industry.
Everyone knows that oil and gas is a finite resource. However, anybody with half a brain will know that you cannot cut that off and have nothing to fill the gap. So we need to continue our exploration. We need to continue utilising those resources, but we need to put more effort into what's going to happen when they start to peter out.
And same to you, please, Greg. Do you support oil and gas exploration?
Well, we're going to put gas and diesel in your vehicles, aren't you? So, yeah, we need to support it. It's in our community. It creates jobs, creates engineering, everything that we need. Yeah, I support it. Thanks.
Rightio. Starting with you, David, from one controversial one to another. What's one thing you admire about any of your fellow candidates?
I admire Sarah right now. And the reason I admire Sarah is because Sarah, we're actually quite opposite, but we can have a chat afterwards if you like. Because Sarah understands what this crowd was going to be like. And she has not backed down from her beliefs and her thoughts and her values and has stood proud and tall. So I do respect Sarah.
Thank you very much. Max, same question to you.
I'm proud of you, Dep. Well said. Actually, I respect Sarah for that too, because it takes a lot of courage to get up here and hold your values in front of a crowd that you know they don't want to hear what they're going to say. So you actually need to take your hat off to Sarah because she's just done that tonight with incredible strength and bravery. I'm sorry if you don't want to hear that, but that's actually the truth of it. The other candidate I admire is someone who's taken that flack for the last 4 terms he's been on council, and that's Mr. Murray Chong, who has probably got more flack than anybody.
Thank you very much. Same to you, please, Graeme.
I could talk about hairdos, but I'm probably not qualified to do that. So, from my perspective, I've quite admired Max in his time on the council in this term. He's analytical, he drills down through the reports. He's one of those people that not only does he take the time to read the report, but he will actually look at the content, ask questions of the officers and demand that they uphold what they are trying to steer those people around the table towards a direction or a decision. So well done on that, Max.
Thank you very much. Same to you, please, Greg. What's one thing you admire about one of your fellow candidates?
I don't actually have a candidate in mind. I believe that if we all could be a mayor, that would be bliss, because we all have different ideas and we all have different ways of doing things. So I'll have to go, I don't have a special person. Maybe down the line, when I get to know other candidates and everything, then I can make a decision. Thank you.
I'm going to go out on a limb. Thank you, David, for your words, and I admire you for the same reason. But I really want to give a shout out to all the other mayoral candidates. I'm standing beside and with 8 men, and they've all got my back. They're all really respectful. I feel safe, and I'm confident that whoever becomes the mayor, we are going to be able to work together really well. So I thank you all.
Thank you very much. I mean, quite seriously, you can all hold your heads high, standing here, fronting the ratepayers, well done. Right, okay. Nice bread and butter one. How would you revitalise the CBD? Starting with Max.
How long have we got? Oh, yeah, we have been trying to do it for 10 years and we haven't even got started. You want me to do it in 60 seconds? I had a discussion with an interesting gentleman today about how we do that, and I think it's a bit about supply and demand. I think there's too many buildings down there that there's no demand for, so part of that would be pretty key to what we do with that. The problem then is, how do you fund it? So an idea that I pitched to him would be that we go around the rest homes and we target people that are going to leave their money to their kids, and the kids might not miss 10% of that money, and maybe that could come into a fund. I'm looking at you, sir. Maybe that money could come into a fund to help buy some of those buildings and turn them into some green spaces in town, and put some coffee carts or food stalls or something in those, and change the inner city vibe a little bit, because you can't ask the ratepayers to keep fronting up $10 million all the time to revitalise one specific part of town, because what will happen is all the other parts will want it next. So how do we do it? That's just a wild idea, policy on the hoof again, but hey, what we've been doing hasn't been working.
If you take a walk down the CBD, particularly from Liardet Street down towards the clock tower, it's starting to look a bit like Pātea. And I'm not meaning to denigrate the folk of South Taranaki. The look of the shops is terrible. The number of empty shops is terrible, and some of that's about absentee landlords. So council can put some pressure on those characters to do that. The other thing that we can look at doing is perhaps easing some of those cost burdens on the people to make it easier for them to get into business, to make the place more attractive for more people to bring their business to our CBD.
Same to you, please, Greg. How would you revitalise the CBD?
Can be a hard question, and it can be a hard decision to make for everybody. I've come across a lot of people that have had trouble with the parking meters, so we could trial free parking when it comes to buildings, when it comes to leases and rates. If anybody knows much about leases, like I have in the past, some of them have a CPI adjustment, which means every year when the CPI, which is, they have the adjustment that raises their lease, and also with the rates, and rates increase. So what happens when you lease a building, you've got to pay most of the outgoings, which is the insurance, the rates, and everything, and your lease. And that can kill a business. So when it does that, what happens? We have empty shops. So I don't know what we can do about that. It's something that would have to be discussed. Thank you.
Sarah, please. Same question to you.
Who knows our CBD and Central Business District best? And that's probably the Chamber of Commerce. They're our eyes and ears down there. One of my ideas is to get together, or part of the new committee structure would be a Social and Economic Development Committee. And I think it's high time that the Chamber had representation on that committee. So we need to get creative about how we support small businesses, and having the Chamber of Commerce in the council chamber will help us figure out how we're going to do that. I'd also be looking to support 1 hour of free parking in the CBD.
Thank you very much. Same to you, please, David.
Two things, public-private partnerships. There's one going on at the moment in town with Kevin Doody. It's public. So he's putting a fair amount of money into developing the area around our Metro Plaza. Our contribution is demolishing the Metro Plaza and then doing improving the Walkway and the Huataki River. So public-private partnerships is one. Second one, in Launceston, they got a regional deal to get, and Launceston's similar to us, plenty of empty shops. So they got a regional deal. The regional deal included some funding to find the best way possible to improve their fire rating and things like that, because that was a thing that was keeping out residential. And I think that residential is the way forward long term, because we need people in there to improve the vibrancy.
Thank you very much. So as we come towards the end of the night, 2 final questions, and you don't need to stand up for these ones, just yes, no answers. Starting with you, Graeme, please. Are you in favour of Maori wards?
Yes.
Great.
Aye.
Me?
Yep.
Just a yes or a no?
Yes or no, please.
Well, I have married family. So at the moment, I'm neutral. Neutral? Standing on the ground.
Sarah?
Aye.
David?
Yes.
Max?
No.
And then final question, starting with you, please, Greg, and working our way around. Would you be prepared as mayor to take a pay cut?
Take a pay cut? For what? Yeah, why not? I'd take a pay cut. Where does it go to? It goes back to the community. And that's where it belongs. As I said before earlier, I am not here for, what's the name? I'm here for the community. I'm not here for prestige.
Sarah, one word answer, please.
You mean one word?
Yes, please.
Yes, 100%.
Thank you very much. David?
No.
Max? Okay, and Graeme?
Yes.
Perfect. Right, that's... It's been a great night. I'll pass you back to Sheridan now just to wrap up, but really appreciate how engaged everybody's been. More questions than we could get through in an evening, so thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Right, what a good night. On behalf of the New Plymouth voters, the Taxpayers Union and the Alliance, we want to say a really big thank you to all the mayoral candidates who are here tonight. The city needs to find a new mayor in 2025, so we really appreciate you all making yourselves available so we've had a chance to learn more about you. Can we please have a round of applause? To James, has he come? Where's he come to? Over there, James and Reese from the Taxpayers Union, a huge thank you for making the trip up to New Plymouth and moderating for us tonight. A round of applause. To Alex for the timing, our video man down the back here, and our own team, a big thank you again. And a thank you to the audience for joining us tonight. And it's nice to see some new faces with a number of New Plymouth Taxpayers Union members joining us as well tonight. So thank you to the audience. A few things we'd like to mention before you head home. Having listened to the mayoral candidates tonight, we'd like to remind everyone to visit our election section on our website, which has a lot of information to help you make your voting decisions. We have information about voting in wards. We have information about decisions made by current elected officials. We have a profile of all candidates running this year, and this links to the NPDC website with answers to questions the NPDC has asked candidates. We have answers to a questionnaire we've sent to all candidates with answers to questions we know voters wanted us to ask. If you'd like our website address or want to tell others about us and our website information, grab some business cards or flyers on the table over there on your way out, either just for yourself or to give to other people. We've said this at all our meetings so far, but we need to say again, please do not vote too early this year, and please tell other people not to vote too early either. Voting packs have started being delivered, but there's still a lot more to know about the candidates who are standing this year. We have a second group of new candidates here this Monday, the 15th of September. The Daily News is putting on an event with the mayoral candidates on Thursday, the 25th of September at the TSB Showplace. You can register at Event Finder for a seat for that. We will also continue with our rollout of smaller chunks of voting information over the next few weeks with information to help with voting. We'd like to wish all of tonight's candidates all the best with your campaigns. And once again, thank you to the candidates and the guys from the Taxpayers Union who have helped make tonight such a big success. Can we please have another round of applause? And Kevin, was that us? We're done? That's a wrap. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.